There you go. Right, so hi everybody. I hope you can hear me all right. So today our webinar is with Liz Malville, and she's going to share it with us her 9 must-have tools to save you time and stress using social media. And I'm really excited by this because I was just saying to Liz that I just try and keep it simple and I just use the basic tools, and I'm really techie minded, but there's just so many tools out there and I never really know which ones are the best ones to use, so I never use any. So I know I'm going to learn loads. So just to give you a brief introduction to Liz, she is the social media guru. She's a consultant and she's a strategist, so she can kind of help you transform all of your social media activity in your business. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds fair. I'm not sure about the guru, but I'll go with that.
I hate that word, but I think that's the best way to describe people who know everything about social media.
I try.
I'm just going to hand over to Liz, and she can just take over from here with her presentation. I've purposely put everybody on mute, just so that we don't kind of get a little bit messy. And at the end of the presentation, there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions. There's a little chat box should be on your screen. So if you think of anything, just pop your question in through the presentation, and then Liz will just try and answer them for you at the end. So I'll just hand over to you and then you can share your screen.
Thanks, Kelly.
There you go.
Okay, now hopefully you can all see that. If anyone wants to put in the chat box if you can see the screen okay. Can you see it, Kelly? Yeah. Can everyone hear me? Okay, I think we're okay. Right, well, I'm really delighted to be able to talk to everyone today, so thank you, Kelly, for this opportunity. And before we go into sort of the tools, I'll tell you a little bit more about me, because I've certainly had an interesting time in putting this little presentation together, because when it came to choosing 9 tools, I suddenly realised that I use an awful lot more than that, and I was like, oh my goodness, what do I include in this shortlist? But anyway, a little bit more about me. Now, if I can just get my, there we go. My background is actually 15 years, I can't believe it's been that long, within sales and operations of financial services. So that was my background, and I was in there for quite a while. But while I was doing that and selling pensions and really exciting things like that, I started to run my own little hobby businesses, and I was telling people about them on Facebook. And I found that spread the word quite nicely, and they would tell their friends, and so it went on. So I began to realise that there was a huge opportunity on social media just to tell people about businesses and what you're up to. So I kind of learned by trial and error, but since then have built 3 businesses using predominantly Facebook, but also Twitter, LinkedIn, things like that. So what I do now is really, I specialise in helping mums in particular in business save time and stress using social media, because I think we all know it is an absolute nightmare when you're trying to juggle home life, children and a business as well. You need to save as much time as possible, and that's where using tools really comes in and can help. Now, I also offer online courses, and something I'll tell you a little bit more about at the end, the Social Club, which can give people ongoing support and help using social media. But you're here today to hear about tools, so let's look at that. Now, the question I've got for you first of all is, how much time would you say that you spend on social media every day, just for your business? Does anyone want to put in the chat and tell me how much time they spend? Anyone? If you're anything like me, it can get quite time consuming. I guess it's my job, so that almost doesn't matter, but when you're time starved and you really need to move on and need to do things, you do need to focus, and tools can be a fantastic way of helping you to save some time. Now, when I looked at my list of what tools to recommend to you all, the first criteria I really focused on was to say, right, I don't want them to cost any money. because I'm a great believer that don't pay for what you don't need. There are hundreds of tools out there, and a lot of them will ask you for a monthly subscription. So I've really tried to focus on free tools that you can use. If they're not free, they're certainly free for a trial period, and so I would say check them out before you buy. And more than anything else, always shop around. If there's something you want a tool to do for you, then have a look on Google and see if there's an alternative, see if that works better for you. So while I've got a list of 9 tools, I find they work really well for me. You might find that other ones work better for yourself. So always just have a look around and see what there is. Now I've tried to sort of spread the categories of the tools, if you like. So there's going to be various things that they will do that hopefully will give you quite a nice toolkit for you to use. So the first one I'm going to look at is scheduling. Now, scheduling for me saves me an enormous amount of time, particularly if you can have a plan on how you want to use social media. So focus on who it is you want to talk to, where you're going to find them, and then start to think about what you want to say on social media and when you're going to say it and how. And if you can start to put a plan together around that about when you're going to put content out, you can start to schedule things. So once that's done and you've scheduled a post or a tweet, you can move on, close things down, get on with your life, get on with your business, and then check back in later to see if there's any comments or anything you need to deal with. So I've got 2 most favourite scheduling tools that I want to share with you. And the first one I'm sure a lot of you will already be using. It is Hootsuite. Now, Hootsuite, if you're not using it and you're not familiar with it, I would encourage you to check it out. The free version of Hootsuite allows you to add up to 5 social network accounts onto the dashboard, and you can manage them from there. So it's a great piece of online software that allows you to post content to a number of different social media platforms, all from the one spot. So if you are using things like Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn, and you're logging in and out of them all, and you're posting things and you're going to the next network, Hootsuite stops you having to do all that because you can do it all from the one place. The functionality is absolutely fantastic. It is easy to use, and you can very easily select multiple Facebook groups, a Google Plus circle. You can post the same content if you want to with pictures to each channel, and you can schedule your posts as well. So you can stagger them and release them at a time when you want them to go out. Now, I would add a caveat when we're talking about scheduling is don't schedule everything. Social media is so important that you do stay present and you keep things real. So make sure that you are there, you are present a lot of the time, but that you schedule things that you know need to go out at key times. And Hootsuite's a fantastic tool for doing that. I would also say try to not make your message exactly the same on all the networks. Don't make them identical. If there's a piece of content you want to put out on Twitter and you want to put it out on Facebook, and you want to put it out on LinkedIn, then perhaps just alter what you say and the length of the text a little bit to suit each network. So for instance, in Twitter, you might have acronyms like RT for retweet, you might have things like you're DMing people, or it might be shortened links, whereas on Facebook, you might want to write a little bit more, and you might want to have the full URL of a link that you're sharing to another website. So whilst Hootsuite is fantastic, it will save you time, just have a little think about how you craft each post that you're putting out. Now, another great thing with Hootsuite is that it allows you, right in your main Twitter feed, you can check your app mentions, you can check direct messages, you can check what's happening with your timeline on Twitter. So as well as being able to schedule, it's a fantastic way of listening in to what's happening, especially on a network like Twitter, where it becomes very, very busy, very noisy, and it can be quite difficult to look at what's happening. So Hootsuite allows you to put your tweets into lists, put the accounts into lists, and in one place, focus on what's happening by looking at the tweets in each list. So it's really doing 2 things. It's a great listening tool, and it's also a great scheduling tool. So that's Hootsuite. So hope you like that one. Now, similarly to Hootsuite, and a lot of people get mixed up between what the benefits are between the 2, the second tool is Buffer. And if you want to find that, you'll see it as bufferapp.com. Now, Buffer, the best way to think of it is like a virtual queue, and you use it to fill it with content and then stagger the posting times throughout the day. But the beauty of that is it lets you keep to a consistent social media schedule all week long, and you don't have to worry about micromanaging the delivery times. So you don't have to think, right, I want a post to go out at 5 minutes past 2 on Thursday and to schedule it for precisely that time. On Buffer, you can set some regular times that you want things to go out, set your queue, put content into that queue, and Buffer will send it out for you at the key times. So it's a lovely way of making sure that you've got that constant stream of content going out without having to go into the likes of Hootsuite and actually put in specific scheduled times. But what Buffer also does is it lets you, it's not really a dashboard, but for me it's almost got superior scheduling flexibility over Hootsuite, because you can designate very specific scheduling times and patterns, and you can change those throughout the week. So it's not down to the exact scheduling you put into Hootsuite. But I would say that Hootsuite provides probably a more complete solution. You can schedule your updates and you can monitor conversations, whereas Buffer is more about the scheduling. You can't really do much monitoring on Buffer. But using both of them together can be a really effective way of saving yourself some time and not setting an alarm saying, right, I need to post something at 5 o'clock tonight on Facebook. I need to remember to go in then and do it. You can put it into Buffer, put it into Hootsuite, it's done, move on. So these are two really great little tools that will hopefully help save you some time there. Okay, now the next category, if you like, that we're going to come on to is content curation. And if you're not familiar with that term, all we're talking about here is you collecting articles of interest, content that you want to put out onto your social media account and collecting them all into one place so you can manage that. And the tool that I use the most, and I use this regularly, is feedly.com. Now, actually, I think what I'll do is I'll move to a live screenshot just to show you how this works. So if you just bear with me, let's see if we can get this to work. Just move into Feedly. I'm hoping a Feedly account, and you'll see hand side is a list of all the websites that I use to collect top tips about social media. So when I put out my tweets or put out Facebook posts onto my page to tell people how they can use social media better, a lot of these ideas are coming from articles off the web. Now Feedly brings them all into one place. So all I need to do is every few days I have a look down my list. So let's say I'm going to look at social media examiner, fantastic site as far as I'm concerned. List of all that I have put out, and I can also see how many times these articles have already been shared. So 2,000 people have looked at how to improve your Facebook news visibility. Now I might decide that's really of interest to my target audience. I want to look at that article. But what I can then do is I can send it straight to Twitter and to Facebook using these little icons directly from Feedly. So, and I can even send it to Buffer as well. So I can straight away schedule out content and put it into the queue for whenever I want it to go out. So it's saving me time, because all I need to do is every now and then, every few days, go to Feedly, schedule things out across the next few days, job done, move on. So if you know what is going to be of interest to your target customer on social media, just write down a list of interests that you might think would work. Put those websites and all the lists of where you'd source those articles into Feedly, and then just check it every few days and schedule things out. Job done. Okay, so let's move on from Feedly. Let's see if we can get back to my slides. Let's get to my slideshow somewhere. Here we go. So the next thing we're going to look at are Twitter tools. Now, when I came to this section, I think of all the areas where you can use tools, Twitter seems to have the most. So to pick some to focus on with you was actually particularly difficult. And I've really just got two for you here. Now the first one is a little tool called Tweeried. Now I love Tweeried. Do any of you know when the best time is for you to put your tweets out? Anyone want to raise their hands? Any ideas? So I don't know if you heard that, that's my cat joining in the webinar in the background there. Tweeried helps you find out when you'll receive the most exposure for your tweets, because what happens is you log into Tweeted, you attach it to your Twitter account, and it analyzes it. And it'll give you a report that breaks down into daily and hourly windows when you can expect the highest engagement with what you share. So that is a really fantastic little tool to make sure that if you've got something you want to share with everyone on Twitter, that it's going out at the time when most people are likely to see it. So I would say if you use social media scheduling apps like Buffer and Hootsuite to automate things, it goes without saying that sharing things at the optimal times would be the best thing to do. So what you can do is use Tweeted to tell you when the best times are, and then schedule things onto Hootsuite or Buffer at those times. So it works fantastically with Hootsuite and Buffer that we've already gone through. So that's tweeted.com. The next one is manageflitter.com. Excuse me. Now, what ManageFlitter does is it helps you filter who you follow and cleans up your account. So if you're following people on Twitter, but they're not following you back, then you can actually clean up your account and unfollow those people. Because if they've never changed their profile or they're inactive, you might be following someone that's really of no use to you whatsoever. And that can actually snarl up your account, because when you reach a certain limit of following people on Twitter, Twitter will stop you following any more until the number of people who are following you back catches up. So really, ManageFlitter can help you get you out of that. It can clean up your account, get rid of the dead accounts, get rid of people who aren't following you. It'll also get rid of spam accounts. It will search through and suggest people that are really not people you want to be following and help you clean that up. So ManageFlitter is a really good little tool to look at there if you need to clean up Twitter. Right, that's Twitter. 2 apps just doesn't seem enough, but never mind. I'm going to move on now to Facebook apps, and I've just got one here for you, because for me, this one is simple to use, and it does everything that you would probably need to do on Facebook, and that is ShortStack. Now, ShortStack is a third-party application, but it is my favorite tool for creating Facebook apps, creating tabs, contact forms, for creating competitions, anything like that at all that you want to attach to Facebook. ShortStack has probably got a template that will allow you to do that. It works in a kind of drag and drop way, so you simply go in and you have templates that you can use, and then within that there are little widgets that you drag into the template to make it look exactly as you want, and then you simply hit publish, attach it to your Facebook page, and that's it, job done. It'll publish it for you and people can access it. Now, the other thing I really like about ShortStack is I don't know how many times you've been on your mobile and you've wanted to enter a competition on Facebook and you can't do it because the link doesn't work. ShortStack gets round that for you because it will give you a link for your competition that will actually work on mobile. So you can put that into your Facebook post in the knowledge that if people click on it, it will take them to the competition app and it will all work beautifully. So ShortStack I love. There's lots of different other app companies out there, but ShortStack's just the one that works for me and I think it's got great functionality. The other thing I would mention about ShortStack is they have a fantastic blog. It's called Socially Stacked. They have lots of hints and tips on how to use the app, how to use competitions, but also how to get the most out of Facebook with social media. So for me, ShortStack just does it all. Right, now I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is picture editing. Now, the next tool that I'm going to share with you, I swear, if it was a person, I would get into bed with it. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I would. I love this app. It's canva.com. And again, I'm just going to actually show you what it looks like in practice. If any of you have talked to me before, you've heard me wax little about that. But it's for has preset templates that you can use to create social media posts, presentations, create posters. If you want a new Facebook cover, you can use that. There's lots of ones. There are log graphics, flow documents, Twitter posts, invitations, business cards, Twitter headers, just posts, Google covers, and a Facebook ad. So all these things and this size are preset into Canva. So all you need to do is, let's say you want to put a really lovely image out onto Facebook, you just click on the template. It takes you into the next screen eventually, which I hope this is going to come up soon. Computers always play slow when you want them to work. Tell you what I'll do, I'll see if I can go into one that I've already got. Here we go. So you can see here, here's one I've already created, but what happens is you have your templates side, and that will be line. And you can put layouts into it, can add coloured backgrounds, you can upload into the template, and then you can play that with text. There's also lots of banners that are going to come up. So I could add a little picture and some text. You can create absolutely anything, and I use it every single to create posts for social media. I don't pay a graphic designer, so if you want to save some time on graphic design costs and money, then this is the tool to use, because you can very quickly create your own graphics. I promise you, they will look good. Now trust me, I am absolutely rubbish with this type of thing. I'm terrible on Photoshop, but I get Canva and I can use it, and I think I can use it fairly well, and I've had some really good reaction and engagement from the graphics that I've created. So Canva is a lovely little tool that I would encourage you all to try. So the next one is number 8 on the list. We're getting near the end, and this is looking at tracking. And it's a tool that you may have used, but perhaps not thought about it from a tracking perspective, and that's bitly.com. Now, Bitly does lots of things. It will allow you to monitor your stats. So what happens is, if you want to share a website link in a post on social media, you would copy that link into Bitly, and it shortens it for you. And then it gives you what's called a bit link. So it's a very short link to that website. Now, Bitly will then monitor each bitmark, and it keeps track of how many times that bitmark was shared, how many times it was clicked on, how many times it was saved into somebody's bookmark. So you can start to see which of your links and what part of your content is the most popular. So that can be hugely important in seeing whether social media is working for you or not, and whether the types of content that you're putting out there and links to other sites are of interest to your target customer. Now, the other things it can do is you can actually bundle your links. So let's say there was a particular topic, like you were gathering in some recipes, and you find a website, think that's a lovely recipe, shorten the bit link, then you find another one, you shorten the website address. You can put all those bit links into what's called a bundle, which is almost like a little a bookmark, if you like, of a certain topic and category, and all those bit links would be in one page that you could then keep private, or you could share it with other people. So it's almost like creating a little bit of an online magazine with lots of different articles that might be of interest either to yourself or perhaps to your customers on social media. Bitly also has apps available, so there's a Chrome plugin that you can use to shorten your links automatically just by clicking on a little button, so you don't even have to go to Bitly. There's also WordPress plugins that will help you link it to your blog, so that it would automatically generate new bitmarks for any new posts that you put out. And there's also a sidebar widget on WordPress that will display the most popular links that you've put out. And on top of that, it integrates with Buffer and Hootsuite, so it can work very well with the other tools that I've already mentioned to you. Right, that's Bitly. So I'm now going to come on to our very last tool, and that's about blog posting. Now, I know this is something that Kelly mentioned to me, that a lot of people ask her, and they also ask me, how do I get my blog posts to go out onto Twitter and onto Facebook? And my favourite tool for doing this is Twitter Feed. Now, all you do is you sign up for an account, you then attach it to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and wherever you want your blog feed to go. You put in the details of where it will get the blog feed from, and then it will do the rest for you. It will post those blogs out to your social networks when you want them to go out. So that's a really neat little tool that can save you a lot of time in getting your blog post out. Now, of course, the other way to do it is to use something like Hootsuite, where you go into your dashboard and you use the link to your blog post to create posts on several networks very quickly. But if you want to automate it, Twitter feed is a good one to use there. Now, I said that it was 9 tools to save you time and money. Well, I honestly found this so difficult that I had to give you some more. So here's a little list that I'm not going to go through how they'll work, but there's a few more that you could use in there. So for scheduling, use Facebook itself. Scheduling within Facebook itself is a fantastic way to do it. But other apps that I know are very popular are Bundle Post and IFTTT, which stands for if this, then that. It creates what's called recipes, where you can link, if something happens on the web, then it triggers another reaction. So, for example, it might be that if you get an email about a certain topic, it will automatically post it to Twitter for you. It can automate quite a lot for you. There are other graphics tools that you can use to create. Piktochart is fantastic for infographics. PicMonkey is similar to Canva, and it's a very popular one that people like to play with too. There are lots of other Twitter tools you can use. Tweepie and FollowWonk are fantastic for sourcing people that you want to follow by looking at their bios and using keywords to find your target audience. In tracking, Social Mention and Google Alerts are free, but they will track keywords for you. So if you want to see how many times you've been mentioned on the web, those two are fantastic for doing that. And Facebook apps, there are literally hundreds that you can attach to Facebook, but Heyo and Tabsite are another two that are very well worth looking. Heyo, I do think you have to pay for that one. It is brilliant, but it is paid. But Tabsite, I believe, is a free version as well. Right, so that's my little list of all the apps. There's a lot to take on board with social media. It can be time consuming. So what I would really advise you to do is have a plan, have a strategy, and focus on your ideal customer on there, and then use the apps and the tools to save you some time in scheduling and streamlining things that you do have more time to go and do other things. But more than that, when you're not using Facebook or when you're not using Twitter, shut them down. I would encourage you to do that so they're not distractions and they don't eat up your whole day. But if you find that you do need more ongoing help with social media, if you feel that no one's reading or looking at your Facebook page, you don't know what to say, or you're finding it hard to see how Twitter can work for you, and I think sometimes it just feels that you're struggling to do it all on your own and you wish there was some help, well, I do have a solution. It's called the Social Club, and it's where you can go if you need some support or you just have a little question that you would like the answer to that is holding you back in making social media work for you. So the Social Club, you can try out for 7 days for only £1, then it's £9.99 a month for as long as you want to stay. There's a little bit.ly link that you can go to learn more about it, and I'll just pop that into the chat now so that you've got it. But basically, have a look at that if I feel that would be any of use. My details are on there. If you do have any questions about social media, please do drop me a line. I love hearing from people. Email me, tweet me, post on Facebook. I'll be happy to help if I can. And that's it. So I'll now open it up to any questions that anybody has, any comments or anything you feel I've missed that you'd like to know more about. Anyone got any questions, or are you all staying nice and quiet? Excellent, Kelly. I've stunned them into silence.
I know, I think they're all having a think. I'm trying to have a think as well. I mean, I've never heard of Tweeted before, so that's quite good. I'm going to have a go at that.
Yeah, it's a great little app, and actually quite surprising. And when I went and looked at my key times for when I get most engagement, it wasn't what I thought it would be. Because the great thing, what it does is if you've got quite an international audience, so actually I've got a lot of Twitter followers are in the US, it takes account of that. So it'll say, well, actually, you maybe want to schedule things for later in the day, so when the US audience is coming online, they're seeing things.
Well, that's good. Can you see the questions on your screen or not?
I've not got anything coming up, no.
Have you not? Right, okay. So Katie's saying, wow, she's never heard of some of these before. So neither have I, actually, so it's good. And Antonina's asking if you could go over Hootsuite again because she finds it very confusing.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll actually go into my Hootsuite account and that, because I think trying to explain Hootsuite when you're not looking at it
can I just say as well, Liz, when you're actually switching browsers, It's probably the internet connection, but your sound goes off. So just try not to talk when you're switching your browser. I don't know if that's like for everybody else, but it's for me.
Thank you. Apologies, folks, obviously a little time lag there. I hope you can hear me now. Excuse me. This is my Hootsuite account. Now, what it's doing is, you'll see, the best way to think of a Hootsuite dashboard is a bit like an Excel spreadsheet. So it's got what we call tabs, and it's got streams. So a tab would be a bit like a tab on an Excel spreadsheet. And within that tab, you might have different columns that categorize things into different groups. So you can see here are my tabs. I've got my Twitter account there. I've got another Twitter account. Well, actually, these are 3 Twitter accounts. I tend to use You can also see that I've got streams, so the columns, if you like. Now, streams, I can see things to way in Twitter. So the whole feed is in my Twitter timeline, but I can see straight away if I specifically mention a tweet, it comes up in this stream here. Any direct messages would come up in this one. But I've also got Twitter lists set up because I couldn't possibly see every tweet that hits my timeline. I've got far too many followers, and I know, Kelly, you'll be the same. But I can see all tweets in there, and I can see them straight away. Something I think is interesting to everyone else. So there's Campbell, and saying, I had that. Oh, that's news for me. So to my create message box on Hootsuite, and I can decide that there's the message. It's going to retweet that tweet. I can do whether it's going to my account, whether it's going to Facebook, whether it's going to my LinkedIn account. They're all there. So I can just quickly post that out. But what I can also do is I can schedule when I want that to go out as well. So you can see there's a calendar here that you can very specifically decide what day and time, morning, noon or night, you want your tweet to go out. Now you can do the same with Facebook. So I might decide, right, I'm starting from scratch. I'm just going to type in a little message. It's going to go to Facebook. I would choose Facebook from here and do exactly the same thing. So it would go out to that network. So it's a fantastic tool to see in one place, explore for you, and send out your tweets and Facebook posts and schedule them for specific times. Does that answer your question? Does that help a little bit, Alistair?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good. Yes, thank you.
Okay, good.
I must admit, I used to find Hootsuite really confusing in the beginning, especially when you're setting up, like if you've never used it before and you're setting up a brand new account. It's not very intuitive, but it's really, really.
No, it's not. And I would say if you are trying it for the first time, persevere. They've changed things slightly. I think they're probably aware of that because the actual setup steps it takes you through now for a new account is a lot easier to use than when I first set it up. It does help you a lot more, but if you can work your way through that, it is a great account.
It is. And do you know what I like about it that I've recently just discovered is that you can schedule your posts, to go into Facebook groups.
Yes, you can. So I haven't actually got any on my Hootsuite account here, but I mean, to do it, you go into your settings, and I can't even remember how you add it myself. Goodness me, they keep moving things. Down your menu list here, you have to add a network, and as soon as I go, there we go, add social network. So I decide that I want to add something from Facebook, and will let me add groups. I'll just connect Hootsuite back to Facebook. It'll search through to see what groups I'm a member of, and then I can choose to add those into my Hootsuite account. So it's great to be able to do that.
It is. It's really good, and I think especially if you're like managing, like if you've got groups. For me, like I've got groups part of my programs and my tech club. So if I'm wanting to set up like maybe an accountability task every week, and sometimes I forget. So I like to just use Hootsuite to schedule those going into my group, which you couldn't do before. It was just for pages. But now you can do it for groups, which is fun.
Yes, I know. Because I'm the same. If there's been things that I want to sort of promote that I know is going to be of interest to other group members, sometimes I want to put that out at strange times because it might be an American group, and so the scheduling part of Hootsuite for that's great.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And like you can I don't know if it's in the paid account now, but you can also upload a Excel spreadsheet, can't you? So you can schedule like in bulk, so you don't have to do them separately.
Yeah, I'd have to be honest. I don't know if that is in the paid or the free account because I've got the paid one and I know I can use it, but I can't remember if it's in the free version or not. But that's fantastic. A lot of the work I do with businesses is really to help with the strategy and actually say you need to plan. If you want to use social media really well to get results, you need to put a bit of work into the planning. And a lot of that is about what content are you going to put out, what's it going to be about, and when are you going to put it out. Now, if you have a whole list of topics and you've crafted your post and you've got the links for when you want them to go out, you can actually put that all in, as you say, Kelly, into an Excel spreadsheet, then upload it into Hootsuite and it will put them out at those times. It's fantastic, and I've actually got a content calendar that you can use that is in the format that Hootsuite uses, that you just pop in what tweets you want to put out, a whole list of them, and Hootsuite does the rest. It's so time saving.
It is. It's really, really good. Katie has said, great to see you set up on Hootsuite. Thanks for sharing. Looks like it'll be such a time saver. I love the content curation idea too, so we'll be trying out Feedly. I'm in the wedding industry, so lots of wedding blogs and inspiration out there to share. That's true.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh, huge amount for you, Katie. Feedly is probably the one I use I use it every day just to see what's in there, but I'd only schedule from it every few days because it's an enormous amount of content can go in there. But if you have a list of really great websites and you drag them into Feedly, it's fantastic to be able to go to one place. Because I don't know about you, I talk to a lot of people where typically you sit in the morning and go, what am I going to see on Facebook and what websites could I go and look at? And you can't remember. I certainly can't. You think, and then it's, and 2 hours later you go, I should have checked that website. Well, if they're all in Feedly already, you don't need to remember the names of them. You can just check them and get great content and schedule it out.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, especially, like the Buffer app as well. Like, if you're maybe in the car or if you're picking the kids up from school and I'm on my phone like I do, it's really naughty. And you want to share something maybe pops up on your, on your Facebook or in your, I don't know, on a browser or whatever. You can just pop her into Buffer and you haven't got to think, right, I need to grab the link and post it. You can just download the app onto your phone and just kind of send it to Buffer and it just schedules it for you from there. It's great.
Absolutely. And what I do is I've linked Tweed and Buffer in that way, because what Buffer you can do on there is you can actually say to it, right, I would quite like, no matter what I send into my queue, I would definitely like a tweet to go out at a certain time. So I look at Tweedia to see what those key times should be, pop those into Buffer so that when I send things into the Buffer queue, I know they're going to go out at the optimum times.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
so it's using the tools together can work really, really well for you.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to use that because I've got audiences all over, and I just tend to schedule them between certain times, only because I know I'm going to be awake.
I know.
Yeah, I think that's good to know. I mean, I know when the optimum times are on Facebook because obviously you've got your insights,
yes.
But you never really know them, do you, on the other platforms, especially Twitter, so that's really good to know.
Yeah, it's really, because Twitter's so busy. So you would never work out yourself, I think, what the optimum times are. Mm-hmm. So Tweed's great for that.
It is.
So any more questions for anyone? I hope it's been helpful. I hope there's some new stuff in there as well as some old things that you've revisited, because I say it's incredibly difficult to draw up a list of tools. There are ones that everyone uses, and some of those were definitely in that list. But I think there are other ones that suit me that may not suit other people, and it really is a case of just looking around for the tools. But hopefully the 9 will help you if you can just stick to those.
Yeah, no, I mean there's certainly new ones there that I've never used, so I'll be using them.
Good.
Has anyone else got any questions? Oh. Charmaine's asking, well, she says, great session, Liz, and I agree. What's the best time to post on Facebook pages?
Great question, Charmaine, and my answer is it depends. But Kelly touched on it. Facebook, if you've got over 30 likes on your Facebook page, it opens up Facebook Insights, and you'll find that on your main admin panel at the top. There's a little button for Insights. If you have a look at that, there is a tab that tells you when most of your fans are online looking at your page. And that for me is the optimum time to put out your posts. Now again, you might be quite surprised by that. For most of my Facebook pages, around about 9 o'clock at night is actually the optimum time, and I would probably never have thought to put it out that late if I was doing it myself. So I would check your Facebook Insights and see what your best times are. There is some thinking, and some people would put forward that it might be an idea to actually put out posts at a time when less people are online, because then you've got more chance of them being seen in somebody's timeline. I'm not sure that works. I think what the best thing to do, Charmaine, is try and test different times and see what's really working for you. Because if Facebook's telling you that most people are online at 9 o'clock, if you're putting out your content then and you're getting great engagement, that for me would tell you that that's the best time. Whereas if you're putting it out at 8 o'clock in the morning and nothing's happening, then don't do it. Schedule it for another time. But try to get a couple of posts out a day if you can. Facebook's moving in a direction now that you might as well accept it's a paid platform when it comes to business. It doesn't need to cost a lot, but you almost do need to pay it to get seen. But the way around that is actually to put out maybe a little bit more content than you otherwise would have done normally. So actually 2 to 3 posts a day on Facebook pages is not a bad way to go, and use Insights to tell you when that should be.
Yeah, I kind of base it on that principle. Now my Facebook page has grown, I tend to do about a post every 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then just make sure that my most important posts go out at the time when somebody, when most of my fans are online. And what I do as well, aside from, I don't tend to use Facebook ads very often, mainly because I don't really know how to use them. I do, but not to get the results that I want.
I know.
So what I tend to do, I kind of partner up with bigger pages, and we kind of share each other's posts just to try and grow, our organic likes and our organic engagement and our reach, and that tends to work as well. So what I did in the early days was look for bigger pages than mine, who would have my audience, so not competition, so they wouldn't be a direct competitor of mine, but they would have my target audience. And I would message them, so I'd perhaps message maybe about 5 a day and say, are you interested in sharing content? And then I would share their posts and they would share mine. And I think that's a really good way as well of getting your name out there on other people's pages and try and...
It is, and it also helps you find content because somebody else is producing that for you. So
exactly. It's not all about you then, it's about other people and kind of offering value to, your page.
Yeah. And I think this is where I know a lot of people I see that too. You maybe want to get 3 or 4 posts out a day on a Facebook page, and they go, "Oh, for goodness sake, what am I going to talk about?" And I haven't got the time to find that. And this is where tools like Feedly, I think, really come into their own, because if you've done your planning and you've done your homework and really thought about where you're going to get interesting articles that will excite and engage your audience, then if they're in Feedly, you just need to go in there and find them and schedule them out, and it becomes a lot easier to find more content than if you were just sat with a blank sheet of paper each day going, what am I going to post about?
Exactly.
So
and also
plan ahead.
I think if I get stuck with content, I always just look for it. I just make a poster because they always get shared and always get liked. I just think, right, okay, if I'm having a brain dead day, then I just make a poster.
Yeah, a good inspirational quote never goes wrong.
No, it doesn't. So yeah, Charmaine says, thanks Liz, that's great. I pay at times too, so that's useful to know.
Good. And as I said, it depends, Charmaine, because very much I've seen very different results in Facebook Insights for different pages. It depends on your business and who your customer is and when they're online. I mean, I've seen some people where actually the best day for them to put something out is at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, whereas for others it's 8 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. It can be really, really interesting to look at that.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, for me, most of my people on my Facebook page are probably mums, or run a business from home. So I know never to put it out on the morning and on an afternoon during the school run because I know the chances of them seeing my posters just non-existent.
Absolutely.
So is there any other questions before we leave?
You've all been very gentle with me, thank you.
Oh, I have. You must have just given them everything that they wanted to hear.
Well, they've all disappeared to make a cup of tea.
Katie says, thanks very much, it was great. And it was.
Thanks, Katie.
I've certainly learned loads as well, so it's great. So yeah, I mean, now that there's no more questions, I don't think, I'm just double checking. No. So I just want to thank Liz for doing the webinar. And I'd encourage you, obviously, to follow her on Twitter and Facebook and pop over to her Facebook page and have a look at her website and things. And obviously, there's going to be a recording of this so you can go back over it. So there'll be an MP3 so you can listen. And there'll also be a copy of the slides for you as well so you can go back over that. And just before we leave, Charmaine's just got one more question, and I'll leave it unanswered. She says, what platform is good to target women outside of Facebook?
Pinterest. It's a difficult one to answer, but it does depend on your target audience. I don't know if you want to say who that is, because obviously women's a very big category. But Pinterest is a very interesting social network. 80% of the accounts on there are women. So if you've got the type of business where you can be quite visual and you can put lots of pictures up, whether that's quotes or whatever it is, even if you're a service industry like myself, where I'm really selling a service to another business, I'll use Pinterest quite a lot because I do want to talk to mums, and I'll put quite pictorial things up. So it might be quotes, it might be top tips that are in visual form. Infographics are fantastic on Pinterest. So yeah, if you want to target women and you don't want to use Facebook, Pinterest would probably be my first network to target, depending on exactly what type of women and what it is they do that you want to go after.
Yeah, she's just saying heart-centered women, business owners, business to business and PR services.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably find them on Pinterest. It might be that you've got to try and find where they hang out because of their interests in their own personal life. So it might be that they're not hanging out there so much from a business focus. It might be that they're gathering recipes. I mean, this sounds like I'm being very kind of, categorizing women, that we're all sitting there trying to look at cookbooks. We're not. But Pinterest is fantastic for things like that, for recipes, for arts and crafts. So quite often a lot of women, if they're your target customers, they will have specific interests that draw them all together that they will be following on Pinterest. And if you can tap into that, you'll find them and you'll be able to talk to them. And it's then about how you put content out yourself that's going to grab their attention.
Yeah, no, I agree, because I mean, aside from doing my Tech Angel stuff, I've also got kind of like a hobby. Well, I say it's a hobby, but it's growing, which is my Yummy Mummy stuff, where I post all my recipes and things from where I've lost weight. And I'm finding, because it's completely different to what I'm doing on my Tech Angel stuff, I'm finding that I'm using different platforms than what I would being strictly business. So I'm finding Pinterest is really, really good. That's grown since I've started using that kind of angle. And also Instagram is really good as well. That tends to be, used to be kids, but I think it's tend to be more women now. And especially if you're in health and fitness, kind of beauty angle, Instagram's really, really good, I find, for that.
Absolutely. The other thing Pinterest is fantastic at is driving traffic to your website. So if you're after a women audience and you can find them on Pinterest, and one of your goals is to get traffic to your website to make the sale or to tell more about you, Pinterest is fantastic.
It is, it's good, but just be careful because you can spend all day on it.
Oh yeah, it's really done on there. But I tell you what, there's some great chocolate cake recipes on there.
Oh no, don't, because I'm trying to be good. No, thank you.
anyone that follows me on Twitter knows that I've got a bit of a cake fetish, and I could eat cake all day long, and I quite often do. So yeah, there's quite a lot of chat goes on about cake on there.
Brilliant. So I don't think there's any more questions, but obviously if you do think of anything, then just contact Liz, and I know she'll be happy to help. And obviously she's got her social club as well. So I mean, if you do think of something after this, then just get in touch with her, or myself, and then I can just forward the information on to Liz. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to register in and to coming along to listen. And I'll send out a recording of the webinar this afternoon, hopefully. And I just want to thank Liz again for joining us and doing the webinar for us. It's been fab.
Thanks for listening, everyone.